Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Faith, Money, and Freedom Summit, where we are growing and learning in our faith, money, and freedom. I am super excited about today's guest. She is one crazy busy lady, but I think you are just going to love her. She has a lot going on in her life. I am your host, Lainey Hauser, and welcome Dr. Stephanie Brown. Stephanie is a very special lady. She is a family physician for over 25 years. She has clinical and leadership experience, academic experience in primary care, urgent care, all things family. And she's really passionate about healing and working with professional women, helping them so that they don't burn out and they take care of themselves and realign their lives. And she uses coaching. She's also a professionally certified coach. So welcome, Stephanie. Thank you so much for being here and taking part in this conference. We are delighted to have you and your expertise.
Thank you, Lainey. Thank you for having me. And I love everything that you stand for and all that you're doing with faith and with business and with finance, because I think it's important for us to be able to have all of those things intersect and align.
Yes, they do intersect, whether we like it or not, don't they?
They do.
And the alignment part, it has to be intentional. Tell us a little bit about your coaching practice and the intersection of wellness and your medical practice and how that intersects for you when you're working with your clients. Because I know you work with professional women, right?
Yes, absolutely. I work with professional women. And so for a while, I was practicing medicine, most recently in urgent care, and sort of building my coaching practice alongside that. Because what I found is that when I saw patients, whether that was in primary care or in urgent care, that there's much more to an individual than just a physical complaint, right? And I really felt called, and I felt like this was something that God placed on my heart to do as part of my purpose for being here. And so I really felt called to help professional women not only, heal physically, but also emotionally, spiritually, socially, financially, just in every single aspect of their lives, and to allow them to thrive and reach that state of peace and passion and purpose that I think most of us look for in our lives. And so as of January of 2022, I am no longer a full-time physician.
Wow.
I stepped out on faith to pursue my business full-time. And now I still practice, but I practice as an independent contractor. So I do urgent care shifts for, other hospital systems when I choose to and when my schedule allows. So that's been pretty big. That's a big step.
Well, okay, Stephanie. So ladies, did you hear? Here is a physician who worked as a physician for 25 years and did her side hustle alongside, right? That's a theme, I think, for many women, is doing our side hustle alongside of what we're already doing and creating a new thing. And then she stepped out in faith and has a new business. I love that. So Stephanie, did you step out into your business? You say you stepped out in faith. Were you building those alongside? I'm sure some of the women are really curious, especially coming from a doctor, that, were you building them alongside? Did you just step out? Did you save? How did you make the transition?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So I built it alongside, and I definitely needed some accountability for that, because I think as a physician, and a lot of people who are in professional positions, whether you're in corporate America, they sometimes relate to it as the golden handcuffs. You've got this great job, you've got this great income, you've got these great benefits. And especially where I worked, we had great benefits. And people would look at me like I was crazy. You're not going to give up those benefits. You have to work this 10 or 15 extra years so that you have all of these benefits. But when I thought about it, they were more than just golden handcuffs. I felt like I could not breathe. I almost felt like I was just like imprisoned, just being inside a place where I felt like I didn't have the freedom to do what I knew was on my heart to do. So I had financial coaches, I had business coaches, I had mindset coaches that I worked with to come up with a plan. There was no way I was going to be able to walk away without a plan. I've got 2 teenage kids that I have to send to college, right? I have to have a plan.
I have a plan.
I worked to come up with a plan and just work that plan. And it did take about 3 years of planning to get to the place where I could build up. And so I'm not at a place where my income has completely been replaced, but it's at that tipping point where you realize that you can't build your business any further if you are beholden to an organization that owns your time. And so my business is doing well enough that I have some space to do that. And I was able to disconnect myself from an organization that owned my time. And now I own my time. So I can still supplement with some, shifts here and there, but really focus my energy on what I am really trying to do, which is my business.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Hopefully that gave you some ideas and some tips about how you can transition to your ideal life, right? So Stephanie, one of your passions is self-care. Can you talk to us about that? It's coming from your perspective, which is unique from a lot of self-care practitioners.
Yeah. So from my perspective, self-care is a lot deeper than a lot of times the way we look at it. I think a lot of people that I know, a lot of my friends, and even myself included, we think of self-care as, taking time to get a massage or to get your nails done or, maybe exercising or cooking healthy foods. And all of those things are self-care. But I think it runs a lot deeper than that. I mean, rest is self-care. Setting boundaries, saying no, and not overscheduling yourself is self-care. Realizing that you don't have to do it all. You can sort of have the life of your dreams and put yourself first. I remember one of my coaches said to me when I first started being coached by her, and I was really busy. I was, seeing patients. And I was like, well, I'm going to be late. And she said, you're going to be late to the coaching session. Imagine if that were your children and the school called and said that your child was sick and you needed to get there and pick them up. What would you do? And I was like, well, I would cancel my patients and I would get to the school and I would get my kid. And she was like, you have to think of yourself the exact same way as you think of your children and you think of all of these other responsibilities in your life. So for me, self-care, I call it radical self-care. Radical self-care is when you think of yourself the same way you would if the school called and your kid was sick. You would make it happen.
I love that, Stephanie. That is radical. Most of us do not think of ourselves that way. We put ourselves way behind. Or other people behind, other people way in front of us. So, oh, wow. That's radical.
Yeah. It was radical for me.
Yeah, it's radical. What a great question. What an awesome coach, that she would speak into your life with such clarity and also care, she could see what you couldn't see. So beautiful. Yeah. That's why we need coaching, ladies. That's why we hire coaches, right? So that we get our priorities straight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of the ways that I like to think of self-care is in 4 elements. I think most of us know that we need self-care, but a lot of times there's something that's blocking us from doing the things that we know we should do. And as a core energy coach, I believe that there's always 4 major energy blocks that are blocking us from doing what it is that we know that we should be doing. Like a lot of times I'll say, well, what's standing in your way of doing that right now? And a lot of people will say, well, me, I guess I'm the only thing standing in my way, right? And so when it's us internally, there can either be that gremlin or that inner critic that's telling you, well, you can't do that. You're not smart enough, or you're not good enough. You're not worthy. Or there can be those limiting beliefs that tell us, well, for a woman to be successful, she needs to do everything. For her to be a businesswoman and a mother, she needs to do everything for her children. She needs to clean her own house. She needs to feed her own children. And that limiting belief can sometimes hold you back from self-care because it's okay to hire somebody to clean your house if you can. And it's
Amen.
okay to teach your children how to fix their own meals. So sometimes it's a limiting belief. The third thing that it can be is assumptions. You assume that because things have been one way, that they will always be that way. Because you've always burned the candle at one end, because you've always been the person to, sacrifice and to be a people pleaser, that it always has to be that way. And that's not the case. It doesn't always have to be that way. And being nimble and flexible is an important part of self-care. And then the fourth thing, so we have the gremlins, we have assumptions, limiting beliefs, and then interpretations. How we look at something is so important. You can interpret a situation one way, or you can interpret it another way. And typically you can flip a negative interpretation into a positive interpretation. So those are the four deeper core things that usually stand in the way of our self-care. And so I've developed an assessment that kind of figures out which one of those four things is your thing that's kind of standing in the way of you having radical self-care. And once we figure that out, then we can overcome it and really just soar and thrive from there.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And I think the last one that you talked about, the interpretation, is such a key part of our daily experience, whether we experience life happy and prosperous, or whether we experience life in scarcity and frantic, and we can take the same situation and it can mean two totally radical things depending on which side of it you're looking at it from. So
absolutely, glass half full or glass half empty.
Right. Yeah. So good. Tell us about your program. You've launched a program, or you're getting ready to launch a program, and tell us a little bit about it, because I know there's women who are like, oh, I want to work with her.
Yes, yes, yes. So I have an online course. So this is for people who don't necessarily want to meet with somebody face to face over Zoom or over the phone, but you want to do it on your own. You want the information, you want it personalized to you, and you want to be able to do it at your own pace. So that's what the Soaring Through Self-Care course does. You sign up, you take the assessment, and the assessment tells you what are your self-care needs? What's your self-care IQ? It gives you an actual score and tells you where some opportunities for you to improve are. And then it sets you on a path of that's very specific to what your score was. So depending on what your score is, you'll go on one of four different paths. And you'll receive information weekly. You'll have coaching. It'll be through me virtually, through videos, through emails, and give you an opportunity to reflect and work through some things in order to get to that next level of self-care. At the end of the course, you get to develop your own self-care plan, because having a self-care plan is so crucial. A plan that is meaningful to you, that fits into what it is that you need to do in your lifestyle. And I will help you develop that. And then at the end, if you need assistance or you want to have a one-on-one, then we get to meet face-to-face, have a one-on-one consultation, work through your plan, or answer any questions that may have come up for you. So that's the Soaring Through Self-Care course that's digital, that's kind of do it yourself. And then I also have a coaching membership where I have a group of women who come together. We have accountability, we have support, we have fellowship, and we have coaching. And we meet twice a month. And in between, there are resources within the portal, and that's called the Queens Realign Coaching Membership.
Oh my gosh, I love that. The Queens Realign. I love that. And I love the element of, the accountability, but also the women getting together. It's so powerful when we get together and unite ourselves physically, emotionally, spiritually, all the things, and really go forward. It's that idea of a rising tide raises all the ships. So when one of us rises, we all rise together.
Absolutely. I enjoy groups so much. I mean, I do individual coaching as well, but I enjoy groups because, like you said, there's synergy there. There's energy there. I always think about where 2 or 3 are gathered,
Yes.
that God is there as well. So I just feel that you really feel that come out during the coaching group. So that's one of my favorite things to do.
That's awesome, Stephanie. So, love all that you're doing. And you guys, if you click the link right below this video, as you already know, you can ask her more information about her programs. It's a way to contact her. It's a way to get a hold of her through her signature programs. And I know that I just want to make it easy for you guys to be able to reach her and all of our speakers, really. But click the button below. And Stephanie, in our last couple of minutes together, is there anything I didn't ask you? I know there's a lot I didn't ask you because it's really short, but is there anything that's like burning on your heart or a little tidbit of advice that you want to give to the people who might be listening?
Well, what I would say is it my advice would be to step outside of your comfort zone. What's on the other side of fear is so much greater than where you're standing now. And it's a process. It's something that you do over and over and over again. I just got off a coaching call with another client who broke down into tears because she realized that there was this little girl inside of her who was wanting to come out and wanting to experience life. And because of past hurts and past things that had happened to her, she had kept pushing that down. She pushed it down with busyness. She's a high achieving professional person. She was on all the committees. She did all the things, and she kept herself busy because she knew that if she sat still and was quiet, that there was so much that was going to come up that she wasn't ready to deal with. And now she's ready to deal with it. And what's coming up for her and what's coming out of her is so beautiful, beautiful writing, beautiful poetry, beautiful ways that she's going to be blessed as a person in the ways that she's going to bless other people. So I just want to say it's so worth it to step outside your comfort zone, even if it's hard, even if it's scary, find somebody to support you as you do it, but it's definitely worth it.
Oh my gosh, that's such a beautiful story. I think as women, we do that. We keep ourselves so busy so we don't have to feel and don't have to experience some of the stuff that's going on inside of us. I know that when I I was in treatment for a month for depression. And when I got out, my therapist, I was a therapist in therapy. Yeah. Anyway, and I got out and I remember my therapist saying, you need to breathe. Here I was someone who taught people how to breathe. I taught them all the things. And I can remember the experience of like terror when I slowed down my breathing and slowed down my life and called, it was a whole package deal where I literally quit my life. And all the stuff that came up for me, it was horrifying and beautiful at the same time. And yet so grateful for that experience and going through it. So thank you for sharing your client's story.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing. And one other thing that you just said, yes, all good therapists and coaches need therapists and coaches too. Absolutely. I have a therapist, I have coaches, and we all need that.
We do. We need each other. So
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you for being an example and for being a professional woman and working a side hustle. I think it inspires all of us to raise higher. So thank you. Thank you for raising the water higher so we can come up together.
Thank you. And thank you for everything that you do and for this opportunity.